I would like to call Professor Dr. Naveed Arshad, a leading expert in climate informatics and electric vehicles, heading LUMS Energy Institute. Please, Dr. Naveed, thank you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me, Dr. Sapna, and the management of University of Lahore. Asad Sahab actually set a stage for this talk already, so I don't have to repeat too many things here, but I'll be talking about something that is happening very close to us, that's in Pakistan, that is not really visible in the, you can say, in the public right now, or people know it, but at a very, very high level. So please, next slide. So if you look at the news recently, there is a solar tsunami in Pakistan that is happening. And this solar tsunami is not happening at a normal pace. It's an abnormal pace at which is happening, that so many international organizations that track renewable energy deployment are pleasantly surprised by how much renewable energy Pakistan has actually deployed in the last 2 to 3 years. Next slide, please. And if we look at this, if we look at this, ये graphs अगर नजर आ जाए, this is not coming out really well, but almost 26,000 megawatt peak of solar panels have been imported into Pakistan. That's almost 1/3 of the generation capacity of Pakistan. And if you look at in energy term, that's almost 10-15%. That's a huge number for any country. And Pakistan is the largest importer of solar panels in the last 2 years. And while this is a great news for renewable energy, and for, of course, our emission reduction and our climate goals, it is doing damage somewhere else. And today we'll be talking about that damage and how we can control it, because that's a very important sector, and that Asadullah just talked about it. Next slide, please. So, so Pakistan's demand for electricity 2 years ago was 143, but we had the capacity of 205 terawatt hour. Remember, we are paying money for all this. 2 years ago, it was 131, and the capacity was 232. We had an excess capacity, almost 56, the numbers, 56% capacity was utilized, and the rest of what was. Last year, in the last financial year, we had 253 terawatt hour of capacity. We were only able to utilize half of it. To function a grid that is economically viable, you at least have to have 70 or good if 80% capacity that you're utilizing. If it is down that, your grid is in jeopardy. So the thing about, you are listening about this, you can say circular debt and others, this is actually brewing up really fast. Next slide, please. And this is not it. We have 30 terawatt hour of new generation plants in pipeline. So वो जो 252 terawatt hour की capacity है, will be adding another 30 terawatt into it, while our demand is going down because of the vast solar installation that is taking place in the country right now. So what is now happening in the grid? Next slide, please. So there is something we call a duck curve, which means that in the daytime, the solar demand, because of the solar, the demand goes down from the grid. So local people generate their own electricity, and the demand goes down. And that the demand go back onto the grid in the evening time. So if you look at it, this is where people are using their own energy in solar, but they shift to grid here, which means grid has to function as it was, because they had to have all those plants ready to entertain when people cannot use their solar energy. And this is creating a double whammy, or double issues for our grid, that not only they are reducing demand, but they have to increase the infrastructure investments just to meet this few hours of demand that is going up. Next slide, please. And if you look at, this is a data from LESCO's DHA phase number 5, which is an affluent neighborhood. You see in the daytime, in all seasons, the demand is in negative, which means that all the houses are generating solar and giving back to the grid. And that same demand is coming back to the grid in the evening, which means that Most of our peak times are coming at night, not in the daytime. Next slide, please. इस slide को skip कर दें, आगे चलें. Now, this is already done. So this what we call the utility death spiral, that there's less demand happening and the prices are going to increase. That is already, we have already faced it. But there is a second stage, which we call electric utility death 2.0, where you have these batteries that are now getting more and more affordable. And all these batteries that used to cost $700 per kilowatt hour a few years ago, now it is under $100 per kilowatt hour, and that was before all the things going on in the US right now. And that expects to drop the price further, which means that now people, next slide, Pachare. Now what people are going to do is that they are going to be installing their own batteries. And when they are installing their own batteries, they don't need the grid anymore for most of the days. So you saw that we had, in the telecommunication world, we have now wireless. All the phones are now wireless. We don't see much fixed wire telecommunication. Similarly, that same thing is happening, that people are going on wireless electricity, or wireless energy. But the energy is coming from solar, storing in their own batteries, using it in the daytime, at nighttime, and disconnecting from the grid. Now, what can we do? The thing is that batteries are not here yet. If we are agile, we are smart, we can use these batteries to our advantage. And there are two things that we can do immediately in the power sector. One is that we introduce a concept of a virtual power line, basically where we do not have to install the power lines to meet that evening demand. Rather, we use batteries at both ends of where the generation and demand is, and use those batteries to meet the demand. Right? Next slide, please. This is a detail about virtual power line, but we are not going to detail. Next slide. So this one is the grid-free living I was talking about. So everybody installed their batteries at their homes. They may disconnect from the grid. In fact, many of the businesses in Pakistan are actually working in off-grid mode already. I know a plant in Sheikhupura I visited. They have a 13 megawatt load, get 0 watt from LESCO. They are completely off-grid. They are not dependent on the grid anymore. And more people are going off-grid. Next slide, please. Now, these small storages, what we are suggesting is that rather than everybody take these small storages installed in their houses, why don't we create a neighborhood energy storage that costs half the price and will keep the business model of DISCO alive, or the utility companies alive. Next slide, please. So now the solution is that we install these virtual power lines at our bulk transmission and these neighborhood batteries at the locations where people need the energy. So during the daytime when the solar is generating, we store that energy in your neighborhood battery and take it back in the evening. And Pakistan is one of the countries that can do it, because no other country has installed so much solar in the past few years than Pakistan. So if we want, we can actually show the world this way. Next. So affordable batteries is actually the long-awaited solution to large-scale renewable energy deployment. The positive side of thing is that solar is only available in daytime. At nighttime, we have to do something else, and batteries can provide that. This will fundamentally change how the business model of utility companies will work. So now they have to use batteries to their advantage. And they will stop the defection of the people who are going from the grid to off-grid. And it is happening at, space faster than we can imagine. And while if we don't do it in the next 5 years, most utility companies like LESCO and others probably don't stay relevant. They maybe will be out of business, or they will be serving very few customers. Now, with batteries, we can create a win-win-win situation where customers, utilities, and government all happy. Investments can be done by the utility companies, and people don't have to worry about the batteries and their complexities. So Pakistan is at the forefront of renewable energy transition. We can go even one step ahead with the battery technology if we are agile and move fast. So I'll stop here, and thank you very much for inviting me.